I'm gonna show you exactly how I scaled my video editing hobby into something that I'm doing full time. And it's important I start this video off by saying this video isn't made for attention. It's not some top 5 AI tools to use in editing. This is genuinely my 3-year journey put into one video. I've spent over a month scripting this, recording it. In fact, I've re-scripted it 4 times because I didn't want to release this until I knew that it was worth you watching. The only promise I need from you is that you're gonna give this guide your full attention. That means close your other tabs, quit out of Discord, and make this video full screen. Once you've done that, you can continue watching this guide, and you're finally gonna stop wasting the potential that you know you have in editing. You've already seen all those posts about how to get clients, how to raise your prices, how to increase retention, but you know that you've tried it and it just didn't work. This video is going to be the difference between you ending up like every other editor or you managing to turn this into a full-time income source where you're working with the top 1% of creators and you're making more money than you even thought was possible. My name is Malice and I help video editors turn their hobby into a full-time income. Section 1. The fundamentals. The 2 most common questions that I get from editors are what software do you use and what PC should I get? I'm not going to spend too long on this as the answers are quite obvious, but when it comes to software, I recommend Premiere Pro. Not because it's better than any other software, but because with how many people are using Premiere, naturally there's so many more resources and help online for you. I've noticed other softwares like DaVinci or even After Effects, they don't really have that same community. So when you are starting out or if you are trying to find a new software, I would highly recommend sticking with Premiere Pro. And now moving on to what PC you should use. Now I wasn't going to cover this because I'm thinking it's such an obvious thing. It's like the better the PC, the better your editing performance, but this is somewhere I've seen even more advanced editors get it wrong. And by you following this advice, it could genuinely save you thousands of dollars wasting your money on a PC that you didn't need. I'll have my current specs on screen now and I want to tell you that it is definitely overkill. What I found is this performance difference between my 1K PC and my 3K PC that I bought now. There's genuinely not much difference. Like if you're working on a really low end PC now, it would be worth upgrading, but when it comes to past the 1.5K PCs, there's not really much need upgrading. Instead, where you'll find the highest ROI purchases, where your money would be best spent, it's finding the weak link and then upgrading that. A lot of people call it bottleneck, but I like calling it weak link because we're putting it into the context of our editing performance. And the best free way to find your weak link, go open your editing software, start editing and keep Task Manager open while you're working. Find what reaches your 100% usage first. Usually I found with editing it's either RAM or CPU. For me it's pretty CPU intensive, so if you are going to upgrade your CPU, what I recommend is first of all make sure you have some extra cash, because what I found is it's not worth upgrading for a 2-3% increase. If you're going to upgrade your CPU, make sure you get like at least 10-20% increase in performance. And the way you'll know this percentage is if you search up your current CPU versus and then a CPU that you want to upgrade to and then search user benchmark next to it. So for example, Ryzen 5 3600G versus Ryzen 7 50 something whatever 100 and then user benchmark. That's the best way that I found to find a new CPU that I should upgrade to. And just make sure that your socket, so your current motherboard, supports that CPU, because otherwise it's like you go from Ryzen to Intel, what happens is you have to change the whole motherboard as well. So just do a quick Google search on that, just figure out what CPU is the same like socket as my CPU right now. And with RAM it's honestly just as simple. It's like the more the better. Just make sure it's a decent speed. Don't buy some slow ass RAM so you can get loads of it. I always say 32 at least, but honestly the more the better. But other than your CPU or RAM, there's one upgrade I wish every single editor on this planet would make, because by not making this one change, they're genuinely losing out on 20xing their performance. There's genuinely editors out there that are still editing on a hard drive. It's 20 times faster to load it on an SSD or an NVMe. And it's like, sure, you might not be able to afford it, but if you can afford a faster drive, you have no idea how much performance you're losing out on. Like you're staying up 3, 4, 5 a.m. right now editing because you have such a slow workflow. If you could just spend that $100 or whatever it is to buy a decent drive, imagine how much time you'd save if you're using that every single day for the next year, 2 years. When you think about how important the speed of your editing and performance is that's when you realize that, okay, $100 over the next few years, if I spread it out, it's like that's not even that much. Making the switch to a faster drive is such an obvious investment when you think about it. So if you are still on a drive right now, go order on Amazon, and if you can't afford it, make sure it's at least at the top of your list. Another big purchase that a lot of editors make is choosing between a laptop or a desktop. Like, you've heard all the arguments: desktop, higher value, better performance; laptop, portability. And I know you've got at least one of these right now, and at least at one point you've considered switching over. You've considered that if you buy a laptop, you'd be able to edit wherever you want. And I used to think the exact same thing until I actually bought a new laptop. I want you to imagine I've just spent $2,000 on a new gaming laptop so I could edit outside. I tried it and I realized I didn't even enjoy it. What I realized is one of the best parts about editing is we get to work in the comfort of our own home. So like, why would you go out of your way to take that away from yourself? And of course there's exceptions, like if you're going university, you're living out and you can't take your PC, then okay, laptop's for you. But if you've already got a desktop, keep it. And if you've already got a laptop that you're using, let's be honest, you're probably working in the same space every day anyways. And this leads us onto our actionable step, which genuinely will save you thousands if you go through this. Before buying anything, you need to discover the constraint in your editing career. Alex Hormozi has this concept called theory of constraint, and what it is him saying every system will grow until it meets a constraint. A constraint is just one single thing that stops it from growing further, and the only way to grow this system is to upgrade this constraint. So if we're being honest with ourselves, let's ask, is our editing constraint right now, is the reason our career isn't growing, is it because our PC isn't good enough, or is it because our editing skills could be better? Is it because our branding could be improved? Is it because we could be working to get more clients? Because the kid that buys a better PC when he hasn't already maxed out his potential with his current one, he doesn't become a better editor, he's just shit faster. Pause this video now and genuinely think, is the reason I'm not progressing in my editing career because of my PC's performance? If it is, fair enough, go spend on it. But if it's not, don't waste your money and go focus on these other things, these editing skills, your actual marketing, your actual editing itself. I could have put some Amazon affiliate codes in the description, but that's not my goal with this. I'm genuinely trying to do what's best for you. So make your decision now. Is it your PC that you need to upgrade, or are there other things that are your constraint? If it is the second, then continue watching the guide and we're going to work on improving those now. Section 2. Improving your editing. I'm standing in a field, there's fireworks going off, and I'm making myself a promise. 2022 just started, midnight just hit, and I've promised myself that this is the year that I become more productive. Now, as cliche as it sounds, I was always that kid that would hand in homework late, but this year was gonna be different. The next morning, I'm using tips that I found in Ali Abdaal's videos. I'm removing distractions, I'm using the 80-20 rule, I'm time blocking my entire day. Just 2 hours into my work block and I'm already seeing results. I just completed a worksheet in 2 hours, which usually took me the entire week to finish. But the thing is, I wanted more. I wanted to become a productivity machine. So the next day, I'm sitting at my desk again, I've got YouTube open, and I'm queuing up productivity videos. The Pomodoro technique, Kanban lists, I'm even trying to align with my biological clocks. I've never even heard of these concepts. I'm about to become the most productive person I know. A month passes, I've learned all these new productivity tricks, and I'm sitting at my desk, and in front of me is a pile of papers. They're all homework I need to do. Homework that I haven't done. I realized that I spend all my time learning how to revise productively instead of just revising. Learning 5 new productivity tips wasn't gonna help me get better at math. Doing more math questions would. In the same way, you reading Twitter threads, you learning a retention trick, you learning some crazy storytelling technique isn't going to help you become a better editor. Spending more time in Premiere will. I want you to imagine the editor that's just starting out. There's all these things that he can learn. He can learn how to use Premiere, he can learn storytelling, 3-act structures, he can learn motion graphics, he can learn sound design, he can learn like how to network in Discord servers. There's all these things. But what's the one thing that would make him the most progress? Because if you think about it, no amount of storytelling, no amount of networking is going to help him get clients if his actual editing looks like shit. This isn't a sexy answer, but for most editors, storytelling shouldn't be their focus right now. You look at their work and they've got awkward silences. Their animations timelines are kind of choppy. They're taking weeks on a video when they know it should take them a couple days. They'll focus on everything except the basics. So is that me telling you storytelling isn't important, that you should just ignore it? No. But what I am telling you is that when you are starting out, you're going to run into the issue where you're spreading yourself way too thin, and you'd make more progress if you just perfected these foundations. I see too many editors in these public Discord servers having conversations about storytelling when you look at their work and it's just objectively not where it should be. And what's even more sad is it's not even their fault. Like, all around them are all these people telling them to focus on this one retention trick, to go become a storyteller, learn 3-act structures and non-linear storytelling. They're telling them go learn After Effects. They're telling them go learn Iman Gaji style. They're telling you all these things that who are you supposed to listen to? When I was going through my editing journey, all I did was edit video after video and make sure each one was my best. All I was focusing on was making sure my pacing is good, making sure my workflow is like as optimized as it could be, and making sure my animations look smooth. I didn't have all this noise around me and all these distractions spreading me thin. But while every other editor is looking for the next bullshit Twitter thread to read, instead you're going to be the guy that's spending the extra time to make sure your cuts are frame perfect. You're going to spend your time learning Premiere inside out. You're just going to make sure each video is fundamentally better than the last, because that's exactly what I did to end up working with these 5, 10, 20, 30 million subscriber channels. I didn't know what the fuck storytelling was when I got started. If you can trust me and put your focus in these 3 areas of pacing, of efficiency, and of smooth motion, I promise that you'd make so much more progress than every other dumbass editor that's skipping over them right now. I go more into depth about improving your editing in defining your style section, but I hope this section gave you some clarity about what to focus on. And as your actionable step, I want you to do something that I tell a lot of my coaching clients to do. This sounds a little insane, but what I tell them to do is write pacing, efficiency, and smooth motion onto a piece of paper and then stick it up on their wall. The reason being, you're going to hear all these different things distracting you, and this is hopefully going to retrain your attention and your focus back onto what really matters. Remember that these 3 traits will take you a lot further than you think. And with everyone else skipping over these, is it any wonder that 99% of editors never make it anywhere in this space? If you need to get that done, then pause the video now before moving on to the next section. 3. Showcasing your work. I'm sitting on Discord and I just got a DM. Someone's seen the work that I do and they're asking what qualifications I have with editing. And I told them the truth. I don't have one. And that's one of the beautiful parts about editing. It's anyone can participate. If you're some random kid across the world, you can still edit. You don't need a qualification to start editing. In the freelance world, your portfolio is your qualification. And for how important it is, some of you are watching this knowing that you didn't put much effort into your portfolio. We need to cover this off the bat, but if you're still using a Google Drive folder as your portfolio, you need to change that. It's the equivalent of trying to apply to a job, and when you give in your resume, it's just some shitty ripped up piece of paper. That's what you're doing when you give in a Google Drive link. So the 2 options you pretty much have with creating a portfolio are Behance and Card. Behance is free, and if you're literally just starting out, I would recommend it. But you'll realize that the advantages Card gives, you would never go back once you switch. I'd recommend to everyone watching this, as soon as you can switch over to Card, do so. They have a free version, but if you want to get like the pro features and stuff, it's like $20 a year. And when you know that your portfolio is your qualification, you know that this is what makes you qualified to be an editor, is $20 a year a bad investment? Obviously not. I'm not even going to put an affiliate link or anything. All I want you to do is use Card if you are using either Behance or Google Drive right now, and especially if you don't have one at all. I'm going to have 2 videos linked in the description. There's going to be one for creating the Card portfolio, and then there's going to be another one which I've made to optimize your portfolio to convert more clients. I really recommend going through those when you have the time. Malice, what if I don't have any work to put on my portfolio? And the answer to that, you probably expected it, but you just need to do free work at first. When you're starting out, unfortunately, you don't have the options to pick and choose which videos you want to work on. Just find some footage, edit it as best as you can, and then use that to put it onto your portfolio. So you can find that footage from your friends, you can find it from your own content, it could be cheap clients, it could be trial edits. It doesn't matter where you get it from at first. All that matters is we need to get the ball rolling so we can start getting our portfolio, our qualification in place. And another thing that editors struggle to decide on is whether they should make a show reel. And I've created show reels in the past, right? It's something I've done myself, but I wouldn't actually recommend it to you right now. The reason being, as you continue your editing journey, you're going to be improving, and you're going to be improving fast. And the best part about portfolios is as soon as you get a new video you want to add in there, you just switch out the YouTube link. But with show reels, it's so much different. When you want to change a video in a show reel, you've got to change the entire thing. And when you're expecting to create new and better work every single week, which one makes more sense? The one you can change instantly, or the one that you have to completely re-edit? What I'd recommend to you is create a show reel when you're a few years into your career, you've got some extra time, your portfolio is already solid, and that's when you can decide, okay, let me make a show reel. Because a portfolio that nobody sees isn't that useful. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the journey that a creator would go through in order to hire you. So go open up Chrome, this is the one chance I'm going to be giving you, and open up your Twitter page. If you were a creator looking at this Twitter page, would you be able to find this person's work within 5 seconds? Because there's thousands of editors that this guy can choose from, right? It's like they have all these options. So if I can't find this person's work within 5 seconds, I'm just gonna hop over to the next guy. So go to your Twitter profile right now, go click edit profile, and in the link section, I want you to add your portfolio. This creator's given you a chance by looking at your profile. Let's make it easy for them and make sure they can see our work straight away. Section 4. Getting clients. Now, I really hope you didn't just skip to this section because you want the quick answer how to start making money as soon as possible. The reason being, the sections before really explain how to get to this point. Like, you've got to follow in order. So if you did skip it, I recommend going back, but if not, then continue watching. There's 2 types of clients that you can get as a video editor. You've got inbound and outbound. So people who reach out to you, and then you have people that you reach out to. And our ultimate goal, of course, is we want people to reach out to us. We want inbound clients to come to us, and the way you do that is through your brand. So your brand is essentially just your online presence. It's like your Twitter page, it's your Discord, it's how you conduct yourself online. And to put it into this context, just imagine how I have creators reaching out to me, and a large part of it is just because I have a following on Twitter, I have a brand there. But growing your brand is honestly like a complete science on its own. Like, I could literally be here all day explaining to you how to grow a brand, but if there's one piece of advice that I could give you, look at your Twitter profile. Ask yourself, if you were a creator, would I hire this guy? Because if you're looking at your own page and you're saying you wouldn't hire this guy as your editor, do you think creators will? The best way to know if your Twitter page is on the right track, just look at it yourself, bro. If you aren't able to say that you're gonna hire yourself, like if you wouldn't even trust yourself to edit your videos, then you need to fix that. Go fix up your feed so that it's not just shit posts all over it. Go fix your bio so that it actually says you're a video editor and not some random meme reference. Because your page, it's pretty much a second portfolio. Like, when a creator is gonna reach out to you, even before they click on your portfolio, they're seeing your page first. So doesn't it make sense to actually upkeep our page, not just our portfolio? Of course our portfolio is important, but we need our page to look quite nice as well. And when you do actually have your page in check and you approve of it and you look at it and you're proud of it, that's when you'll find creators start reaching out to you. And the second way to get clients is outreach. But first, I want to tell you a story about an editor that I was coaching. So he's working with a couple of 100k subscriber clients, but he came to me because he wanted to work with these larger guys. I asked him where he got his current clients from, and he told me, oh, I did it from outreach a while ago and I'm still working with them. So I asked him, why don't you outreach anymore? And in response, his exact words were, I don't need to beg for clients anymore. In his eyes, him outreaching was the same as begging. To him, he saw outreach as below him. So I told him that I'm working with channels with 5, 10, 15 million subscribers. I've got the clients and I still outreach. He trusted me enough to take my advice. So we started outreaching again, and within a week, he gets his first 2 million subscriber channel. You need to realize that there's no downside to outreach. Of course, it is nice to have clients reaching out to us, but it's not like we have to choose one or the other, inbound or outbound. We can have inbound clients, but why not outreach as well? What I tell every single editor that struggles with clients is that if you aren't outreaching, you're throwing away thousands of potential clients. When I got started, I was outreaching for as long as I was editing. Outreach was 50% of the work I was putting in. If I would edit for 4 hours a day, I would also outreach for like 3-4 hours a day. And while that might sound insane to you right now, I promise this is how you get clients. I keep all of my posts on my Twitter page, so if you scroll down you can see every single thing that I've done throughout my career, and people always ask, Malice, how did you get into editing and you seem to have clients straight away? Like as soon as you started editing you had clients. And the reason is I spent so long on outreaching. People see outreaching as like this side task that he doesn't want to do, but you need to be outreaching. It's a hard thing to do at first, and the way you're gonna outreach, you're gonna be following this exact formula that I'm gonna give you. I heard this from Alex Hormozy, and it's the idea that your outreach success is equal to your offer multiplied by your scale. So if your offer is video editing services, we need to get your video editing services in front of as many eyes as possible. Just imagine you were asking around for gum in class. If you asked one person, what's the likelihood that not only do they have gum on them, but they actually want to give it to you? It's pretty unlikely, right? Like if you just ask one person. But what do your chances look like if you ask 30 people in the classroom? After asking 30 people for gum, it's pretty much inevitable that one person gives it to you. If you're an editor right now and you're getting 0 clients, like none at all, your problem is probably scale. You just haven't tried it enough times. Simply reaching out to more creators would heighten your chances of getting a client. And by more creators, I don't mean reach out to 5 creators or through email. I mean reach out to hundreds, if not thousands of creators. So now you might be thinking, where do I actually find these creators? A lot of people out there tell you go onto YouTube and find a guy's email address and then email them and then find the next one. But let's be honest, you're spending about an hour emailing back and forth with a guy that's probably not going to hire you. In order for you to have a high success rate, what we're going to do, we're going to look for creators that are already looking for editors. Doesn't that make more sense? Like it just makes more sense, right? If someone's already looking for an editor, when we come in, it's more likely that they're going to hire us rather than us reaching out to some random guy. Some of the ways I recommend finding these people is YT Jobs is amazing. You've got Twitter search, so you can search up for people who are specifically looking for an editor. You've got Discord servers which give job posts. You've got Instagram. You've got email. If a YouTuber actually posts like, oh, I'm looking for an editor, like in a community post, you can email them there. In all honesty, the platform you use doesn't really matter. What's important is that you find one that you like, you stick with it for long enough, and you get enough scale in there. And now I'm going to give you some tips on the actual messages you should send. I'm not going to give you a template. The reason being, if I give out a template now, there's going to be so many editors using the same template that a creator is going to see you as a scammer. So I'm going to give you the frameworks, like I'm going to give you the advice of how to create your own message, and I want you to use it and create your own. So the first thing when you're creating a message to send a creator, make it concise. You don't understand how many times I've posted on a Discord server that I'm hiring and I see people send me a wall of text. Like I can tell you've copy and pasted that, bro. Why are you sending me all of this information? I don't read over it. And the thing is, most creators won't. If you send someone a wall of text, they're not going to read it. So just keep it concise. It's like, just keep it a couple lines. The second thing is that don't tell them what you do, show them. This meaning, don't tell them that you maximize retention. Don't tell them that you do crazy graphics. Don't tell them that you do storytelling. Let that show through in your work. All you need to tell the person is that you are a video editor and your work should explain the rest. And the third thing is that make sure your portfolio and your work is accessible from whatever platform you're using. That means that if you're messaging on Twitter, okay, you can add it in the message, but hopefully you follow the last point where we said add it into your bio. So a creator should see your message that, oh, I'm a video editor, I'm interested in working with you, and they should be able to go to your profile and find your portfolio instantly. When it comes to things like Discord, that's when I really hope you have your portfolio either in the message or in your like bio, like in the link in your bio. When it comes to email, you don't have anything like that. So emails, make sure your portfolio is in the actual email. Whatever platform you end up using, just make sure that your portfolio is actually accessible when you message this person. Your actionable step for this section of the guide is to reach out to 25 creators within the next 2 hours. The reason I'm saying this is because I found I take advice when there's a time limit on it, and I think this would be really good for you to follow. So set a timer for 2 hours and outreach to at least 25 people. Use the tips that we went over in this section, and worst case scenario, none of them reply back, but remember how important scale is. If you asked 25 people for gum and none of them gave it to you, you, you could just ask another 25 people from another classroom. If you do it enough with enough classrooms, inevitably you're gonna get a piece of gum. Section 5. Finding your editing style. I'm standing in a cafe, I'm waiting for my order, and there's a man shouting. He's not shouting at me, he's not even shouting at the cashier, but he's shouting at his phone. What the fuck is £4 for 30 minutes of driving? He's a delivery driver and he's complaining about how little he gets paid. And now he's venting to the cashier about how just 2 years ago, this same trip would have paid him £20-30. Imagine that. You have lost most of your income in just 2 years and it was completely out of your control. What we're looking at here is supply and demand in action. Over the last few years, there's been so many delivery drivers joining the Uber app and these delivery apps that the demand hasn't really changed for it, so the price, the pay for these drivers, it plummets. When you're in a market where the supply grows but the demand doesn't really change, you'll ruin yourself by joining it. Think about how many Iman Gaji style editors are joining right now. Think about all of these Ali Abdaal, whatever style you're thinking right now, the ones that you see becoming so popular on Twitter. The supply for these styles is exploding. Sure, the demand is as well, but the supply is growing faster than the demand. And what you see is the pay for it goes down. Maybe you've considered joining them. Maybe you've considered picking up the Sunny V2 style, picking up the Magnates Media, Iman Gaji, whatever style you like. Imagine picking that up and you finally get clients and it's starting to seem interesting, right? Maybe you should pick up these styles and just edit in that style. Who cares about anything else? But what you'll find is what started as you trying to make more money editing, you end up becoming like everyone else who's stuck undercharging and knows they're worth more than they're actually charging. Because there's always going to be 50, 100, 200 other editors in the space that are willing to do the same style as you but charge slightly less. And when a creator sees you versus this other editor who edits in the same style, who has the same execution, who has the same speed of delivery, who are they going to choose? The only difference between you two is he's charging less than you. So you decide to put your price slightly lower than his, but then another editor goes slightly below yours so that he gets the client, and then this continually cascades down until everyone's undercharging. What started as a style that should have been paid 1,000, 2,000 per video is getting paid 100. So instead of you joining the Iman Gaji style market or the Ali Abdaal style market, what we're gonna do is create you your own market. We're gonna set you up in a way that you're the only person that can supply a certain style. And when we can create demand for it and there's only one supplier, economics says the price skyrockets. So how do you create your own market? How do you find a style that so many people want but only you can create? It all comes down to stealing like an artist. What I'm telling you to do is take these guys that you're looking up to on Twitter, on YouTube, all these editors that you like their work, take parts of their style and copy it. The problem is right now, most editors that try taking this advice, they copy one single person. They don't copy the style, they copy the entire edit. They literally recreate it one for one. And sure, that might be good for practice, that might be good for getting to understand like the actual software, but when it comes to finding your style, when you try copying someone else one to one, you're never gonna be first place in that style, because the person that made that style, you're always going to be lagging slightly behind. These guys are literally copying the entire video, like the literal motions, the same PNGs, they're using the same SFX, like they're doing everything the exact same. But luckily for us, we know how we can get around this. Instead of taking just from one person, we're going to find an array of people that we're going to take inspiration from. So just like in school, when you have an essay to do, if you use one source of information and copy that, that's called plagiarism. But as soon as you take 100 different sources and put them all into one piece, taking small bits here and there, that's when you have a completely original essay. When you take aspects from each editor, maybe it's me, maybe it's other editors from Twitter, when you have a list of edits that you like and you say, oh, I really like that animation where the PNG comes in like this instead of other people's where it comes in slowly, like I really like how fast this was. It's taking these small things and then adding it to your edit, and then do it with 20 other videos, and suddenly your video looks nothing like anyone else's. Once you've taken all those pieces of information and turned it into your style, congratulations. You're now the only person that knows how to edit like that. You've created your own market. And if you want to start that off with my editing style, then I've got 10 free presets down below. You can try them out. They're smooth, they're free. Go click on the link in the description right now. Section 6. Pricing. I want you to bring into your head your current prices. So whatever you charge right now, now add $200 to that number. And now I want you to take that number and imagine you're telling clients that that's what you charge now. Imagine sending the message that this is how much I charge per video. Is that alright? Could you imagine them saying yes? Or in your head, is it more likely that they're just gonna reject you? Maybe it's that you're scared the client's gonna think you're too expensive. Maybe you're scared that they're gonna leave you when they hear these new prices. Maybe you're scared that they're gonna find someone cheaper than you. The first reason so many editors are scared to raise their prices is because of fear. It's the fear of rejection that stops them from charging any more than they are right now. And the thing is, it's completely normal. It's okay for you to be scared to raise your prices because you're scared of getting rejected. Like, this is literally your income on the line. If you get rejected, this no could mean that your income drops to zero. So that fear of rejection is a normal thing. So I want to introduce you to the framework that I use to raise my prices. It's the same framework that I use to go from $50 per video to charging over $1,000 today. I call it the iterative pricing framework, and here's how it goes. It's acquire, fill, identify, and then raise. You're going to acquire new clients by using the things we talked about earlier in this guide. And then you're going to fill up your time with these projects until you're at your maximum capacity. You can't take on any more. And then you're going to identify the clients that are paying you the least or the ones that you just don't like working with. And now once you've identified those, we raise the prices for only them. So this framework works best when you've got 2 to 4 clients currently. So instead of working with one guy full time, you're working with like 2, 3, 4, 5 guys just on like a per project basis. And the reason this framework works so well at keeping your income up is that we're not going to raise the prices for everyone. All we're going to do is use it on the guys that we've identified are already not paying us much. When some of them say no and leave us, who cares? We either weren't getting paid enough by them, like they were underpaying us, or we just didn't like working with them in the first place. It's a net positive for you. You're getting like rid of a client that was underpaying and you didn't like. So this framework of acquiring clients, filling up your time until you can't do anything more, and then identifying the bottom few that are underpaying you, and then raising it only for them and keeping the rest. You keep repeating that cycle and slowly your prices go from wherever you are now to 50 more next month, and then 100 more month after, and it's like you keep doing this throughout your career. And as you get better at editing, you'll also be able to raise your prices because of that, and it's like all of these things compound. So that's how we get rid of fear of rejection. It's by having a constant stream of clients and following this iterative pricing framework. The second reason people are scared to raise their editing prices, it's because of limiting beliefs. It's ideas that we hold about ourselves or about the world around us that don't really serve us in any way. It's these statements like, oh, I can't charge this much because I'm still young. I can't charge this much because I'm from a poor country. I can't charge this much because there's not enough high-paying creators out there. We have all these reasons so implanted into us. We've said it to ourselves so many times that we never sit down to question whether they're true. Is there a 14-year-old editor out there that's making a shit ton of money from editing? Yes. Is there an editor from India that's working with these huge creators despite being from a poorer country? Yes. Is there a video editor that's getting paid thousands by a single creator? Yes. Are these beliefs that actually serve us? Are they objectively true? The beautiful thing about editing is that it all comes down to what value you provide to creators. It doesn't matter what your age is, what your race is, where you're from. None of that matters. It doesn't matter if you're from the UK, US, India, Mexico, it doesn't matter. If your editing is good, you're gonna get paid for it. Like, we all have access to the exact same Premiere Pro. Why is it that some editors excel in the editing space and raise their prices so high, but others are stuck at $50, $100 for the rest of their lives? It's because you've set yourself limits that aren't objectively true. And you might still think like, no, Malice is from the UK, he doesn't understand my struggle, but bro, I'm on your side. He's an editor from India, and when I explained this concept to him that just because you're from India, it doesn't mean you can't charge as much. As soon as he did that, he literally 5x'd his income. It was that one limiting belief that held him back, because he wasn't even giving himself the chance. He wasn't getting rejected by clients that were saying his prices were too high. He didn't even offer it. Once you understand that your prices are 100% within your control, that's when you'll start making progress. Genuinely take the time to think about what limiting beliefs you hold, because I promise you that there's at least one of them that if you could unlock this one thing, this one constraint, you could raise your prices by $50, $100 today. And unless you sit down and take the time to identify it, to ask yourself, are the things I believe objectively true? That's a ceiling that's gonna stop you from growing for the entirety of your career. Because unless you can sit down and identify this one constraint that you've held so closely to your heart, it's gonna be a ceiling over your head for the rest of your editing career. The last and final section of this guide. Section 7, long-term success. I'm sitting in my room on a Discord call. The entire room's dark except my monitors. I'm editing a video that's due tomorrow morning. And despite this deadline, I've spent the last 4 hours working on one 5-second scene. And it's at this point that my friend's in my ear and he's telling me it's not worth it to spend this long. He's saying I'm an idiot. He's saying I don't get paid enough to put this much effort in. And the thing is, he's right. I've spent over 200 hours working on this video. Over 3 months of work on this one edit. And I'm considering to rush it now. I'm thinking about how good my bed would feel right now. It's 4 a.m. bear in mind. I haven't slept in a day and a half. The urge to just rush the last bit of this video and get it done so I can get some sleep. That temptation's brewing inside of me. It's getting stronger and stronger. Now it's the next morning, 8 a.m. I'm staring at my phone and Sona's just sent me a message. She's telling me how good the video was and she can't wait to upload it. Fast forward to today and that video's on 4 million views. And I would say it's one of the reasons my editing career skyrocketed. Most editors, and this includes me by the way, especially early in my career, most editors have this mindset of how can I make the most money in the least time possible. It's how can I take on more videos? How can I get this project done faster? How can I take on easier projects? It's all about how can I get as much money made in this time frame. So I would rush these videos, I'd make the $50, $100 a video, and I'm getting so many videos done that this is the most money I've made at 16 years old. But I was missing the bigger picture. Because in hindsight, what I'm realizing is it's not about that $100 that you can make today. It's the $1,000 that you're missing out on next month. When I was trying to maximize my hourly rate by rushing videos, I didn't realize that I'm missing out on the opportunity to grow my portfolio. And if you've watched through this guide, you know how important your portfolio is. And every time I'm rushing a video, that video could have been my next insane like portfolio piece that other potential clients see and then they want to hire me. I'm losing all of that potential for $100. Because you probably have dreams of working with these huge creators, these 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 million subscriber channels. But do you know what they're looking for, bro? These 10 million subscriber channels are looking for editors that have 10 million subscriber worth editing. And they're ready to pay a 10 million subscriber worth price tag. But they're not going to do it when your entire portfolio is rushed videos from cash cow channels that you clearly didn't put much effort into. When you over deliver on projects, you're doing yourself a favor. You're making yourself more valuable in the eyes of potential clients to come. This is the one trait I found in every successful editor. They have the trait of thinking in a longer time frame than most people. They're not worried about the $100 they'll make now. They're worried about the tens of thousands that they'll make in the future. And 99% of editors, they don't think like me and you. They think that it's all about this short-term money. It's not. They're throwing away the opportunity to grow what's their most valuable asset, their portfolio. They're losing the opportunity to grow that just for a couple $100. And for that small portion of you watching right now, the 1% of editors that actually understand what I'm saying, what's interesting is while me and you are making money later, we're going to be making a lot more than anyone else. It's going to be us that are working with these top 1% creators because we were willing to go through that month or two of just making sure every video is our best. Something that Alex Becker says, he's just an entrepreneur, and what he said is, this is what puts fear into their hearts. When your competition, other editors, see that you don't care about maximizing your hourly rate, when you purely just make the best videos possible, how the hell is anyone gonna compete with you? And I promise you that if you follow what I just told you, if you make sure every single video that you edit is your best, in 6 months from now, while you're looking at everyone else that's still struggling to charge more than 100, 200 per edit, you're gonna be the guy that's working with these top 1% of creators, and you're actually getting paid what you're worth. And the reason I left this at the end is because it's genuinely not the sexy answer. It's not the quick way to make 10k a month like all these videos are blowing up now. That's not what I taught you here, and that's why I left at the end. It's only these 1% of guys, those 1% of editors that understand that if you want to make extraordinary results with editing, you can't follow the advice that everyone else is listening to. Everyone wants the quick 5 AI tools to use. Everyone wants the quick how to make 20k a month editing, because while everyone's trying to build the tallest tower today, me and you, we're building the foundations so we can build ours tomorrow. Because we don't want a fancy building that lasts 3 months. We want to build the tallest tower that's going to stay up for a lifetime. And if you're willing to spend this extra time building the foundations, building these things that nobody else is thinking about, by putting in the extra work to the things that really matters, how good is your video? That's when you're going to make a stupid amount of progress in your editing career. That's when you're going to be making so much money that your parents genuinely think that you're doing online fraud because of how much money you've suddenly started making from editing. That's when you're going to have other editors asking you, how the hell did you grow so fast? This guide is exactly how you're going to do that. But I know there's going to be some kid that's thinking right now, what if I just want to keep it as a hobby? And honestly, if you genuinely just want to keep it as a hobby and you don't want to make any money from editing, all I can say is sorry. You've watched this entire guide. You've wasted your time if you don't want to make money from this guide. This guide was made for the editors that genuinely started this as a hobby, but they want to make money from it. And what's interesting is the guys that follow this guide, that go through the same path I did, we end up enjoying editing even more. Not only do we enjoy it more, but we're getting paid as well. It's the best of both worlds. It's not like we need to lose one to gain. It's we're enjoying it and we're making money from it. We're going to be sitting at the same desk we always have. We're going to be staying in the same room. There's no difference for you between doing it as a hobby and doing it for a full-time income. The only difference is that you're finally getting paid for the skills you already have. And that's not me saying that it's going to be easy, because genuinely it's not. I wouldn't make a guide this long if all it took was a 5-minute video to explain it. It's hard. It's hard to take editing to a point where you're doing it as a full-time income source. But I promise you, it's worth it. And if you have watched this video until this far, you're someone that I know has potential with editing. Not everyone's willing to go through a guide like this, and for you to get the most out of this, what I'm going to recommend is bookmark this video and every so often go through the video again, and what you'll realize is there's things that you've listened to today but you're only going to understand once you've watched it again and again. It's like when I read a book, I'll read over it and I'll have like a new perspective and read over like 7 new things that I never realized the first time reading. And I hope that this video has the same purpose for you. And it's at this point that I say, if you did find enough value from this video, then you do all the YouTube stuff, go like, go subscribe, because if you've watched a full guide like this, it means this is something you're interested in, and you're someone that my content is for. I give you my promise that any video I post will be for your benefit. And before you leave, I just want to leave you with this one thing. Remember that there's enough clients out there. You just have to provide enough value so that they choose you.